we're interviewing surrogate Kristina Bradley, and Kristina's from Oregon, and she is in Chicago for an interview to become a surrogate with Yulan and with a Chinese family. Let me just ask you a couple questions about the surrogacy. Simple questions. You just answer them the best you can. Okay. Have you ever been a surrogate before? And if so, how many times and when was the last time?
I have not been a surrogate before.
What made you decide you'd like to become a surrogate for a couple in China that need to have a baby but can't conceive?
I take care of 5 children at home. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, and I want other people to be able to experience that. It's a joy.
What are your personal values towards surrogacy and the idea of surrogacy?
I believe it's an honor to be chosen to be able to help somebody start their family.
Nice.
Families means a lot to me, so to be able to help somebody start theirs, it is an honor.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family? Are you married and do you have children?
I am engaged. I have 3 children of my own and then 2 stepchildren.
And what's your husband's or life partner's name? And describe the relationship in detail. Yep.
His name's Troy. We've known each other since high school.
Oh, nice.
Grew up together in the same small town, and we moved back to a small town that's next to the one we grew up in. It's actually even smaller. We like the small town feel. He's very supportive. He's an amazing man. He's an amazing father. He's, again, very, very supportive in this endeavor. He can't imagine not having children, so he's excited that I'm able to help a couple.
Very good. What are your children's names and what are their ages? And tell us a little bit about them.
I have an 11-year-old daughter, Rebecca. She's learning classical violin, and she's starting jazz saxophone. She's very smart. She's actually found a phone app. She's learning Chinese.
Oh, really?
She wants to travel abroad, and she's hoping to be an exchange student. And she's hoping China's the one country that she'd be able to exchange with. Scares me to think of her abroad since she's just 11 and my little girl. My 5-year-old, Evangeline, she's actually teaching herself French.
Wow.
I don't know if I'll ever let her travel abroad. She's my little doll. She's very smart. She loves animals. She's the reason why we have 5 dogs. She just kind of collects these animals and helps them. She finds hurt ones, and we've ended up with 5 animals that now are very healthy. Right. My youngest is 2.5, Grayson. He's a fireball. He keeps us all on our toes. I think he's going to be the last one, so he's my baby. And then my stepchildren, Taryn is 10, and she's very quiet, she just kind of takes the world in, and it's very hard to read her. And then, let's see, my 7-year-old stepson, Braden, he's a fireball also. I think that's his brother takes after him, and he keeps us on our toes and finding all sorts of adventures and frogs and lizards and all sorts of things bringing in. He's a true little boy.
Nice, very nice. Thank you. Good, very good. Does your husband or life partner, in this case your fiancé, does he have any reservations regarding the legal relinquishment of the parentage after the birth?
No, we've discussed this a lot before. He knows how attached I am to my children, and we've discussed that it wouldn't be my child. It would be somebody else's. Like I said, I'd be carrying it for them. It'd be the equivalent of kidnapping. I couldn't imagine somebody taking my child. So I would gratefully give that child to their parents, sign the documents. I mean, it's their child.
Do you have a solid support system from your family and or your fiancé to help you face feelings during the period you're pregnant of being overwhelmed? Do you have the support system is what they're interested in? Yeah.
Yes. My mother lives just about 15 minutes away from my house. My sister, my grandmother live about 20 minutes away. So I see them, if not daily, just at least every other day. My fiance's family lives probably about 7 minutes away. We timed this because we're seeing how
Sure.
how far. So we do time it. So it is actually 7 minutes away from our driveway to his mother's
very nice.
driveway. So and we see her about daily.
Oh, wonderful. That's a very good answer. Please describe the maternal feelings you experienced during previous pregnancies and how you plan to deal with those feelings as a surrogate if they come up.
It's hard to explain. I mean, you feel the child move, and you know that's your child. You feel automatically just protective and just feel like a mother bear. I do believe there will be a certain amount of bonding with the other child, but I go into this knowing I'm doing this for somebody else, and I will be protective of this child, but I'm hoping that once I hand the baby over to their parents, I'll be just as protective.
Oh, very nice. Good. Have you experienced any complications during your prior pregnancies, and if so, what kind?
Not really. With my first child, it was a lot of morning sickness, but that's about it. I've had really healthy pregnancies, normal weight gain.
And after the first pregnancy, you would say after the first pregnancy, were there the same morning sickness?
No, the first one, she really put me through the ringer. But
Yeah.
the other ones, just mild. I don't know if it's more mild, if I just learned how to deal with it.
Good.
So.
How do you take care of yourself when you're pregnant regarding your health, basically?
I eat healthier when I'm pregnant because I'm not just eating for myself.
Not in detail.
You gotta give the baby a good start.
Yep.
I cut back on caffeine. Actually, I start tapering off caffeine if I know I'm going to be pregnant. I start tapering off the caffeine so I'm not cold turkey as soon as I get pregnant. I don't smoke. No one in my household smokes, and I avoid areas where there's going to be cigarette smoke. I know there's no drinking of alcohol. Some cultures accept it. It's just not my culture.
Can you describe your diet, which you've been talking about a little bit, on a typical day when you were last pregnant?
A lot of crackers, that kind of helps with the morning sickness. A lot of fresh fruits, a lot of fresh juices.
Good.
I just try to eat a lot of fresh. A lot of the preservatives and things seem to kind of trigger morning sickness. So I kind of stay away from preservatives and eat, we eat like a lot of chicken and kind of stay away from red meats during pregnancy.
Good. As a surrogate, this is in the same line as the last question, so if you have to repeat yourself a little bit, it's okay. As a surrogate, you will strive to eat healthy diet, as you said, and reach out support if you need to. Should you become overwhelmed with morning sickness or other reasons that may prevent you from getting proper nutrition, have you ever been overwhelmed by morning sickness or other reasons that prevented you from getting proper nutrition you needed for the baby and yourself?
No, it's been manageable.
Good. Should more than one embryo be implanted and all of them succeed, what are your feelings regarding fetal reduction and abortion if it's the child's wish to have no more than one child? Would you be willing to consider carrying twins? Those are two questions.
I would consider carrying twins if there is need to be a reduction. Sometimes I'm not overwhelmed by the 5, but sometimes I can see how people would be overwhelmed by more than one. It is their life. It is their child. I would support the parent fully in their decision.
Good, thank you. Are you willing to work with the surrogate agencies, the IVF doctors, the OB-GYN doctors to take all the necessary tests and screenings to qualify and to travel out of state for operations if necessary?
Yes.
Are you willing to work under the instruction of surrogacy supporting staffs to provide all the data and information that's required by the client, the intended parent?
Yes.
What kind of expectancies do you have for the relationship with the intended parents couple after the birth? In other words, would you expect to see a Christmas card every year and a photo of a baby? And do you have any desire for any future contact with a child as he or she grows up into adulthood? You can start with the relationship with a couple, then the Christmas card, and then into the future.
It would depend on their level of comfort. I don't want them to feel like I'm intruding on their life. I'm giving them the gift of a child. I feel that's a lot for me. If they want me to further be involved, that'd be even a bigger honor. But I would understand if they would just want to cut contact, and I would support them in any decision.
Oh, very nice. Good. Another sensitive issue is abortion and adoption. Abortion generally is not allowed under the ULAN Surrogacy Assistance Program terms of service with the intended parents. We have consulted the intended parents clearly on this and asked them and have them sign terms of service before ULAN took them into the program. But in the case a couple is divorced, or either of the two of them pass away and die, these are young people, but if they die during the pregnancy, would you consider accepting an abortion?
I would. I would like to believe that the abortion would need to be like a medical necessity. If there was something as far as the parents were not able to take care of the child, it's their child. I feel like I don't really have that much of a right to the child.
Right, you don't. You're not responsible for the child. That's for
so
sure.
it would really be the parents' decision, and I would support them. I'm a parent, and I know how hard decisions are.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, if the above-mentioned tragic event were to occur, and you do not prefer an abortion, would you be interested in adopting the child through an arranged agreement?
If they did not have family members who wanted to take the child,
Right, that's a good.
I would want to see if there was a biological relative that maybe would want to have the child. If there is no,
Good idea.
if there is none there, of course, I mean, I'd already feel protective of the child, and I would want to give that child a great life, as long as there was no other biological relatives that would be able to take it in.
We should. That's a good idea about someone else adopting the child. Nobody's thought of that, actually. Very good. In the case that a newborn is found with defects, diseases, disabilities of some kind, even though the intended parents are required to take the child after birth, it's our job to ask you about your choice for the possible adoption of the newborn. Can you share with us how you feel about this? And you're allowed to change your mind at any time. This is how you feel about that situation, yep. With a baby who has some abnormality, yep.
It can be very hard taking care of a child with special needs. I understand, especially as first-time parents, taking care of a child is hard, and then adding on to medical or mental disabilities can be very challenging. Again, if there was nobody in the family that would be able to take care of the child, I have 5 kids, and I always say, "What's one more?" You know,
Oh, very good.
It would be a
Great
challenge,
answer.
but it would be one that
Great.
I can accept.
Great answer. Okay. Would you be willing to travel to China for a possible embryo transfer cycle procedure? This probably won't happen ever, but if this is arranged, both male and female intended parents had blood tests conducted in the U.S. FDA lab. You may be asked to go to China because of some of the intended parents have their embryos stored in China and cannot have them transferred to the U.S. The China Yulan contracted with hospitals to agree to accept non-Chinese surrogates for embryo transfer procedures in the event the child is delivered outside of China. So the question is, are you willing to travel to China for some short stay for an embryo transfer?
I believe it'd be a nice vacation, nice to see a new culture, kind of get away from stresses at home, but I'd be willing to do that.
Okay, good. Are you comfortable providing breast milk feeding for the newborn?
Yes, all of my children were breastfed. If that's something they'd be interested in, I would be more than willing to help.
Do you currently have a relationship with a client couple in the surrogacy system?
I do not.
Are you willing to work exclusively for ULAN for at least 12 months as a condition of the Surrogacy Assistance Program?
Yes.
In the event of a failed embryo transfer cycle, are you willing to start the next embryo transfer cycle for the same intended parents or possibly new intended parents?
Yes, I would.
Would you be willing to start the next embryo transfer cycle immediately, or would you prefer to start it within 1 to 2 months?
If the doctor cleared me, I'd be willing to do that. I know how hard it can be to lose a child in a pregnancy, so as long as the parents would be willing to try the next cycle and the doctor cleared me, I'd be willing to try also.
Are you comfortable asking your doctor for the OB-GYN results after each visit?
Yes.
Okay, and if so, would you be willing to fax or scan the OB-GYN results and mail them to ULAN?
Yes.